Good morning. My name is Belinda Cardwell, and I'm a counselor here at Genesis Women's Shelter and Support. Thank you for joining us for our Client Services webinar. We have a little bit of housekeeping to go through before we can get to the content of the webinar. But before we start that, I'd like to introduce to you my co-host today, Noelle.
Hi, good morning. I'm Noelle. I'm also a counselor at Genesis, and it's great to be with you all this morning.
Okay, so this is just a little bit of tidbit information for y'all. The presentation is for educational purposes, and please consider your own situation and safety concerns before putting into practice any of the ideas that we talk about today. And there we go. Sorry, my screen wasn't changing. All right, so please be sure to watch this in a safe place where only safe people can hear it. Use headphones if need be to help ensure that no one else can hear what you're watching. Remember to clear your browser history after watching the video if you feel like someone's monitoring your phone or computer. If you need to leave this live Zoom webinar quickly, remember that you'll need to click end a couple times and then close the Zoom page. So please do not use the chat feature on Zoom. We're asking you not to do that because then your name and comment will be seen by anybody watching the video live or the video recording when it's put up on YouTube. And also on YouTube, if you leave any comments on the recording, your name and comment will also be seen by everyone else. So please do not comment on the YouTube video. So we do not monitor or respond to any comments on the YouTube video. That's one of the reasons why we ask you not to comment. So if you need to have a question or concern answered, contact us directly. I'm Belinda Cardwell. Again, there's my office number and my email, and there's Noelle's office number and her email address as well. We're going to also repeat this information towards the end of the webinar. So this webinar is for educational purposes, as we stated earlier. And if you are in crisis or you need help with emergency safety planning or are looking for emergency shelter due to domestic violence, please call our 24-hour hotline. That number is 214-946-4357. Or if you'd like to sign up for counseling at Genesis, you can call our direct number at 214-389-7700 and ask to talk to a counselor. Here's some more good information for you. Hotline numbers, again, the Genesis Women's Shelter and Support. That number again, because it bears repeating, is 214-946-4357. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 800-799-7233. They also have a chat feature at the hotline, which you might find useful if you feel like chat is safer for you. And the National Suicide Hotline number is 800-273-8255. Okay, so today we're going to talk about safety planning, and how I visualize safety planning is kind of planning for the storm so you can allow the sun to shine through, right? So sometimes this information might be difficult to hear and difficult to think about, and we realize that, but we kind of ask you to put your James Bond on. In other words, kind of think about how you would do things to best protect yourself and think outside the box in order to have your plan in place. So what is a safety plan? Well, it's basically plans and actions to ensure physical and emotional safety. It's a tool for empowerment and increased sense of agency, which I think is very important for women who've been in domestic violence. For a long time, you felt like you've had no control and that you couldn't accomplish something such as this, but you can, and we're here to help you. So this safety planning will also reduce your anxiety due to having the plan in place, and it's going to leverage your critical thinking. If you've watched other webinars or been to groups, you can remember that we talk a lot about the brain when it's reacting to a trauma, and it goes into a fight, flight, freeze, or appease mode. So if you need to plan while you're in the middle of a threat, you're not going to plan as efficiently as you can if you do that before you anticipate the threat. So that's why having a plan in place will help you leverage your critical thinking and help you put the best plan in place. It also will help you increase a sense of safety because you'll have a detailed specific actions and know exactly what to do in case you need to put the plan in place. A safety plan will also prepare for various situations, and it will go through all stages of the relationship. So as your relationship changes, your safety plan will change. So categories of safety planning, we have living with an abuser, leaving an abusive relationship, planning with children, preparing for court, using technology, keeping safe at work, staying safe in public places, and emotional safety. We're going to concentrate on the first 7 and kind of, again, talk about the physical aspects and logistical aspects of having a safety plan. I invite you to go to another webinar when we went into detail about emotional safety plan. It's on our YouTube channel, and that should be very beneficial for you. Okay, so a safety plan has to be unique to you, right? You have to assess what is your biggest safety risk or concern. Are you just trying to stay safe? Are you preparing to leave? Or have you already left? You need to understand what triggers or patterns may be present or has been present in the abuser's behavior. If you understand your situation, then you'll be able to plan specifically for your safety. You need to evaluate. You're obviously doing some kind of safety strategies now, but are they working for you? Are they not working? What can we change? What can we add to? And you have to know who your safe people are and where are safe places that you can go and stay. Okay, so first we're going to talk about safety planning when living with an abuser. So you have to prepare for your living with an abuser, right? Or staying with an abuser. So you might want to notify friends and families of the situation and establish a code word. A code word might mean that you need them to call the police, or that you might just need them to know that the situation is escalated and you might need your support afterwards. You want to share your action items for staying safe with your safe support. And when I say share, make sure that your safe support is not only safe, but they wouldn't have a chance to inadvertently mention something to your abuser. For example, you might not want to tell your children because it might come out in conversation about your plans when there's no intent to share, it just comes out in conversation. Tell neighbors about potential concerns and call 911 if they hear any disturbance. Make the habit of backing your car into the driveway parking spot for easier exit, and also make sure your car is full of gas. Try to avoid wearing scarves or long necklaces or other aspects of clothing that aren't going to help you or maybe used against you. For example, used to strangle, the abuser could use to strangle you. You might want to consider wearing flats instead of high heels. And have a plan if the abuser discovers your safety plan. Either have a white light prepared so you can kind of appease the abuser, or have a secondary plan somewhere tucked away safe. If there's conflict or the violence has escalated, please go to a room that has an exit, or you may leave the house. Something simple as going to the front porch may help the abuser de-escalate, because many of them do not want to be public with their abuse. Try not to go into any rooms with weapons or items that can be used as weapons, such as kitchens. Avoid rooms with tile or hardwood flooring or other hard surfaces, just in case you are tripped or pushed. You want to avoid as much injury as possible. Do not go to rooms with other people. That might sound counterintuitive, right? But the abuser may try and use them to get to you by threatening them harm, especially children. If violence is unavoidable, make yourself small. Dive into a corner, curl up into a ball with your face protected, and perhaps your arms are on each side of their head, something kind of like this. So you're protecting your head and your vital organs. Okay, so let's take a deep breath, because I know that's kind of hard to hear and think about. Great, okay, we're gonna move on. So let's say you decided to leave the abusive relationship for whatever reason. So again, you need to prepare. You have to remember that a safety plan is not static and can change to fit changing circumstances. You'll always be reviewing your safety plan. And consider what an emergency exit from your abuser may look like, not only logistically or step by step, but how are you going to emotionally feel? And what coping skills will you need to put in place before you can the actual exit, or maybe right after the exit, or a few days after. So consider your emotional response as well as the physical steps. Again, park your car for easier exit if you must leave quickly. Check any devices or vehicles for location trackers. And establish a habit of leaving the house during the day or night without question. In other words, do errands at odd times. So if you do have to leave when the abuser is present, it wouldn't be as much of a flag to the abuser that you've left. So plan where to go. Do you have safe people, safe friends or family members that you may be able to stay with? Having said that, you might want to also consider if that place is truly safe, if your abuser would be tempted to find you there. Have your phone numbers and addresses of safe people somewhere in addition to your phone. That's in case the abuser has access to your phone. And compile a list of safe places that could be domestic violence shelters or other agencies that will offer you housing and support. You might be wise to call local shelters ahead of time to check their eligibility for their shelter. I know for our shelter, the availability changes daily, so that might be something that you would want to know about the shelter. And maybe call several hotels to know how much it would cost for a few nights, if that is what you plan to do. So what to bring? It's important to collect copies of important documents, and you might want to think of these as in what's hardest to replace: driver's license, birth certificates, social security cards, legal documents, protective orders. And this would be for yourself and for any children that are involved in the relationship. Pack your clothes and other items you may need in case you must make an emergency exit, and try and set money aside so you do have some financial resources. Keep any evidence of abuse and take that with you: pictures of abuse, text messages, recordings, etc. Leave your belongings and documents with someone else if possible, so they're not discovered before you have a chance to leave. And be familiar with your children's schedule as well as your partner's schedule, so you can plan for when it might be safest to leave. And if you can't leave your belongings, documents to someone else, think of a good hiding place. This is where your James Bond comes in. Maybe place it in a DVD case, in a book that you know your abuser won't look at, or somewhere that it's hidden, but it's a quick grab for you when you leave. So you've left the relationship, so you need to continue to have a safety plan and use best practices for staying safe. You're going to change your routine, where you shop, your pharmacy, your work schedule, in case your abuser is aware of your work or school schedules. And you want to practice general safety measures. Be aware of the environment, park around others and not in poor lit areas. Check if you're being followed, and follow your intuition or trust your gut, right? Because you have kept yourself safe up to this point, and just continue being aware, but we don't want you to be hypervigilant so you're always on edge and prepared for a threat. Just be aware of the environment and know where you are and what's going on around you. After leaving, have alarms and security measures in place. I know those doorbell alarms are pretty popular. They do have a cost to them, but you can always tell when someone is at your front door or has tripped the motion sensor. If you can, change your phone number and move to a new area. Alert your children's school of the situations. Give them copies of any legal orders you may have. And notify them of who can pick up the children. Also notify your work about the situation in case the abuser shows up there. And consider getting a P.O. box for your mail to be delivered to. That way your address is unlisted and easier for you to be safe than having your mail delivered to your address. So safety planning with children. If there are children in a relationship, please engage in conversation with them on how to stay safe. Be honest with your children, as age appropriate as it would be, and discuss with them what to do if conflict arises. Identify safe numbers to call. Determine safe places to go during a conflict. That's both in the home and outside the home. Review coping strategies for them to reduce anxiety, perhaps singing a song, hugging a favorite stuffed animal, listening to music, and teach them how to dial 911. Also, believe your child, validate their experiences, and have strong lines of communication with them. Talk with them about what they're experiencing. This might be a good time to teach them about bad touch, or good secrets, bad secrets, so they have a safe place to talk about what they're experiencing. Remind them that it's not their fault. Reassure your children that it's okay to take dad's side in order to stay safe. Remind your children that abuse is never okay. You want to create code words with your children to notify them if they need to get help or go somewhere safe, and tell children to not intervene and stay safe by either going to the safe spot in the home or outside the home if it's safe to do so. So let's say you're going to court, either for a protective order, divorce, or custody. So if you're living with your spouse during a divorce or trial proceeding, it might be best if you find housing elsewhere for the time being. If other housing is not possible, just review and have a safety plan in place. Again, saving money, collecting documents, advising neighbors, friends, and families would be an important part of that safety plan. If you're living in a shelter with a safe person or somewhere else, maintain a safety plan again, just in case your spouse, abuser contacts you. That could be over the phone, social media, or in person. And consider seeking a protective order at this time. So if you are actually at court, when we're back in having in-person court versus Zoom court, tell safe people in your life that you'll be at court. Request a court accompaniment or have a loved one go with you. Again, be aware of your surroundings, especially the exits and the location of the court officers. Remember where you parked. You might need to take a picture, pin the location, or tell a friend. And utilize coping strategies to help address anxieties. Breathing techniques, visualizations, a book or phone, or any other coping strategies that you use that helps you address your anxiety. And it's a good idea to talk with your attorney, if you do have an attorney representing you, telling them about your safety concerns and getting them to work with you for other plan details. So if you're at court or if you're on Zoom, you need to prepare to see the abuser. So if we're back at court, again, come to court with others and know where the court officers are. Bring your phone on you, tell your people where you're going, like if you're leaving the court to get lunch or something. Plan for physical and emotional safety, and remember, it is totally normal to feel anxious and nervous about not only being in court, but seeing your abuser. And then you need to prepare for the verdict going either way. If you have a custody case or share custody and allow visitation, you need to plan for safe exchange of the children. And that is usually best to be a neutral location. If you're trying to go for a PO and one is not granted, prepare safety plans for leaving the court or after court. And remember, if the verdict doesn't go your way, it doesn't mean that what you're saying isn't true or that your feelings aren't valued or valid. And also prepare an exit plan for when you leave the court. Again, this would be maybe asking the court officers to walk you to your car, or the people that you have come with you to make sure that you're safe when you leave the court. Okay, so using technology. There's a lot of ways abusers can use technology, but you want to look for patterns of the misuse by the abuser. And that helps you create a comprehensive, customized safety plan. So are you being followed when you are driving? Well, maybe there's a GPS tracker being used. Is someone assessing your social media accounts, such as Facebook, Twitter? And do you need to be aware of that, be aware of what you're posting, or perhaps even bring down your social media accounts? And do you think they know your passwords for either your social media accounts or other online accounts? So look for the patterns so you can know best how to safety plan with using technology. And if you think you are being monitored, like your computer, your phone, try to use a safe device, something that is unknown to the abuser, such as a phone they don't know about. The pay-as-you-go phones are usually pretty reasonable, and maybe use that for most your important calls. Or you can use a friend's computer or device in a public library. And if you are using your own device, or even when you're using a safe computer, I would suggest disconnecting any cameras on your laptops or computers, or putting tape or paper over the camera on the computer or phone. Okay, so when we are using technology, we need to change our privacy settings and passwords to accounts such as the bank accounts, social media, websites, and if possible, require a two-factor authentication when logging in and have unique passwords for different sites. So the two-factor is usually where a website will ask you or send you a text with a code, and you have to enter that code before it lets you to log in. I know it's an extra step, it's kind of frustrating, but it will help you keep your accounts safe. And unique passwords, again, that's an extra step, and a lot of us use the same password for multiple sites, and so that's not particularly a good idea when you're trying to have a safety plan for technology. So also check your phone and your devices for settings. Go into your settings on your phone or other devices and make sure that location settings are turned off and that you have not shared your location with anyone. And check their individual apps to see if your location is being shared. And you might also want to, while you're checking your phone, look for apps that you don't recognize and think that maybe you didn't put on your phone, and delete those apps as soon as possible. So here we go, talking more about the car. Have it checked thoroughly by a law enforcement officer or a trusted mechanic if you think you are being tracked by a GPS. If you have a newer car, turn off any Bluetooth settings or location trackers. And when opening new accounts or posting to social media, be mindful of what information that you give out. Questions such as favorite color or your mom's maiden name are usually used as security questions, and abusers can utilize these answers because they probably know the answers to gain access to your accounts. So either change the different security questions or change answers to the common questions that the abuser would not be able to guess. And if you feel like somehow there's a camera in your home or your office, you can have a device scan for hidden cameras, but unfortunately not all can be found this way. And if you think a camera may be hidden in a room, just restrict what you do in that room until the camera can be located. Safety planning at work. And if you're still working actually in an office, notify your work of the situation and provide them and the security with a picture of the abuser. Most works would rather know about the situation than have it escalate without their knowledge, and are willing to work with you. Keep a copy of any protective orders you have at work. Ask a security guard or a safe coworker to walk you to your car, especially if it's dark. Save any messages if the abuser calls you or emails you at work. Don't go to lunch alone. And talk with your supervisor about changing your schedule or ways to improve your safety during your shifts or your hours. Again, this is something that's unique to you. Only you will know how much of safety planning you'll need to do for work. But we do suggest that you do involve your work. I know we get a lot of calls from coworkers being concerned about their coworkers in domestic violence situations. So safety planning in public places, when we can go out in the real world and not have to wear masks, right? Change your routine, keep a copy of any protective or custody orders on you at all times. Also have your cell phone with you, and practice general safety measures. Be mindful of walking alone. Use caution where you park your car. Again, park around other cars and in well-lit areas, and let people know where you're going. If you're going for a run, if you're going to sit in the park to get some fresh air and sunshine, let people know where and when you're going. Okay, so that was a lot of information, and a lot of it was hard to hear. We covered living with an abuser, leaving an abusive relationship, playing with children, preparing to go to court, using technology, and keeping safe at work, and staying safe in public places. Again, the one thing we didn't cover is the emotional safety planning, because there is a webinar on that, but just to kind of get the highlights of that, it's emotional safety planning. You want to seek out supportive people, create a safe space for you to express emotions, do a lot of self-care, because this is a very emotional time, and be kind to yourself. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. There are other categories of safety planning that I didn't cover, so as always, call us if you need help with safety planning. And again, your situation will be unique to you, and only you know what will be the best way to keep you safe. We can just kind of walk through options. So again, safety planning is planning for the rain in order for the sunshine to shine through. Now I'm going to turn it over to Noelle and see if she wants to add anything or go straight into the coping skill. Noelle?
Thanks, Belinda, for sharing all that. Like Belinda said, we know that's a lot of information and it can bring up thinking about things that are difficult, but hopefully too it helped just give a foundation of some ideas for creating your own safety plan. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can speak with a counselor or an advocate at Genesis. We're all trained to help women work with and create safety plans. So we're more than happy to help out. And if you are in a crisis situation, you can always contact our hotline number or call 911 too. So we're going to end today, again, recognizing that we have covered a lot of information with just a simple coping skill. We hope that it's something that you can use when you're noticing yourself starting to feel more anxious or stressed and needing to create just a moment of calmness. We call this coping skill pleasant memory, so you can probably guess what it is. I'll have you go to that next slide, Belinda. Thank you. So what I want you to do is take a seat and sit back comfortably in the chair that you're in, wherever you're watching this. You can close your eyes, and I just want you to begin to notice your breath. So breathing in and breathing out. Just noticing as you inhale what it feels like to fill your lungs, and as you exhale what it feels like to empty your lungs. And as you begin to pay attention to your breath, I want you to remember a time when you were calm or happy. And you can think of something as simple as a time when you ate a favorite food, or just a small happy moment from the last week. If as you're thinking of your pleasant memory, something that you don't want to remember comes up, or something negative, feel free to think of something different. We always suggest if you're having difficulty, maybe just thinking again of like a simple experience with favorite food you ate, or maybe a memory with a good friend or a child. So again, just remember a time when you were calm or happy. Now put your hand on your chest and let those good feelings and those positive sensations from that memory just move throughout your body. And you can, as you're thinking of the memory, focus on each of your senses. So first, focus on what you're seeing as you're picturing that memory. For example, with this picture, maybe you're seeing the outdoors, you're seeing nature, you're seeing the field where you can pick blueberries. And then take a second to focus on what you can hear when you think back to that pleasant memory. What different sounds are there? What noises can you hear? And again, just continuing to breathe in and breathe out as you're noticing all of those different things. And then start to notice what you could feel in that memory. Maybe what sensations you remember, what feelings, what you could touch and see. You can also notice too, if there's any smells attached to this pleasant memory. Maybe it's that smell of the blueberries if it's this picture, or it's a different smell for whatever you're thinking of. And also think too if there's anything you can taste when you think of that memory. Maybe it's food or something else. And if other thoughts are popping up or something's distracting you from your pleasant memory, just gently turn your thoughts back to the memory that you're trying to focus on. And again, I'm just continuing to notice your breath, that inhale and that exhale as you're thinking of that pleasant memory. And then I'm going to count down to 5, and you can move your hands back down to your lap. And once we get down from 5, we'll just return to the space that you're in. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if you can notice your feet on the ground, and maybe your arms are planted on the arms of your chair or on your lap, and just take one last big breath in and breath out. And rejoin us back in the space that you're in. Thank you.
Thank you, Noelle. That was very relaxing, and now I'm thirsty for some blueberries. All right, so again, here's our information. Thank you for watching. My name is Belinda Cardwell, and my co-host was Noelle. And if you have any questions, there's our cell phone, sorry, not our cell phone, our work phone number and our email address. We hope that you learned something that you can put into place. And remember that safety planning is a little bit overwhelming. That's why we're here to help. And wish you the best and see you next week. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.